My name is Steve Zeltzer. I'm a host of Workweek on KPO here in San Francisco, a black community radio station. Also, I'm with United Front Committee for Labor Party. There are going to be speakers from other organizations as well who are participating in this press conference. And what we want to say to the people of San Francisco and the people of this country is that the introduction of thousands of remote controlled autonomous vehicles in San Francisco would wreck San Francisco, threaten health and safety, and destroy the taxi industry in San Francisco. And what's important about this is not just a San Francisco issue, it's not just a U.S. issue, it's an international issue. Because AI and these vehicles are being tested on the people of San Francisco, and they're being treated as guinea pigs. They're being treated as guinea pigs. They're testing their technology on the people and the public of San Francisco, and they're doing it without any oversight. At the hearing on Monday, this commission was told by Waymo and Cruise, Waymo's owned by Google and Cruise is owned by General Motors, that they will be in charge of the information. They will be in charge of what these vehicles are doing, not the state of California, not the city of San Francisco. What kind of business is it that these companies are running in San Francisco and the public here, the state, has no authority of what they're doing, what the information is? So they lie, and they have been lying about what these cars are doing, these autonomous cars. And Gavin Newsom, who appoints the Public Utilities Commission, London Breed, who gets money from these billionaires, have not put their foot down. They've allowed these companies to do what they want. And what is the result of that? The result of that is these cars are out of control in San Francisco. Even the fire chief has said that a catastrophic situation is coming to San Francisco if these cars continue to operate. So here you have the fire chief of San Francisco saying there's going to be a catastrophe because these cars are stopping in the middle of the road, blocking fire trucks, blocking emergency vehicles, and yet the CPUC, which is appointed by Governor Newsom, may be approving more cars, 200 and maybe thousands of cars. This is an issue for the people of California because if they approve it here, they'll be in Los Angeles. We're talking about the destruction of the taxi industry in California and nationally. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs, and even Uber Lyft drivers in San Francisco. And we have just learned that Gavin Newsom got $10 million in 2020 from Google. He appointed John Reynolds, who was a lawyer for Waymo. What kind of business is this that you have a Waymo lawyer on this California Public Utility Commission making a decision about the people of California and these introduction of this technology? It's blatant conflicts of interest. It's blatant corruption. We're demanding that the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, immediately impound these cars. If they violate the laws, the vehicle code, they should be immediately impounded. Why are they still operating in San Francisco? Are they above the law?
No.
Apparently, for London Breed and Gavin Newsom, they are the law. They make the law. That's what they're actually saying, that they're above the law, they can do what they want, and these tech companies really are running San Francisco and running California, which is true. They passed legislation at the DMV saying that these cars don't have to abide by the rules that all California drivers have to abide by. This is a complete double standard. So they're saying, screw the people of California. We have rules for ourselves above the law. We're not going to be held accountable. And what we have to say also, if they pass this today and somebody dies because these so-called autonomous vehicles, robo-taxis, are blocking the road, I think that these people should be personally held responsible. They should be personally held responsible for the deaths of people because these cars are blocking the road. They've been warned by the fire chief of San Francisco that this could be a catastrophic situation. So they cannot pass it without saying themselves that they're personally responsible for the destruction and death these cars may cause. So our first speaker is Mark Gruberg.
Is a board member of the San Francisco Taxi Workers Alliance. I just second everything that Steve said and just point out that we know a lot already about these cars. We've seen them all over town. We know what they're doing. We know about the 600 plus incidents that have been reported to the city of San Francisco. We know about the several hundred collisions that AVs have been in as reported to the Department of Motor Vehicles. We know about the 55 and counting incidents with interference with firefighters. So, the evidence is in. We don't need to know any more about the operations of these vehicles to know that they are unfit to drive our streets. But I want to read you a couple of short things because maybe, you won't take the word of a taxi driver, but maybe you'll take the word of the CPUC and the DMV themselves. So this is from the decision that the CPUC made authorizing the deployment, which means the authorization for commercial passenger service. Here they say, the Los Angeles Department of Transportation reiterates its request that the Commission evaluate vehicle safety plans so that all road users are protected. The Commission rejects this request, as it has already been considered. While it is important for AVs to protect all road users, that capability is part of the AV's driving ability, which falls under the purview of the DMV. Of course, the Commission retains its regulatory authority to inquire about the status of AV industry safety plans and to reach out to the DMV regarding its evaluation of the AV safety plans. So basically, the CPUC is passing the buck to the DMV. Now here's what the DMV has to say. This is their letter to the CPUC and on this issue, and what they say is, to receive an autonomous vehicle testing or deployment permit from the department, manufacturers must submit an application and certify to meeting a number of safety, operational, insurance, and vehicle registration requirements. Certify. The department evaluates applications to ensure manufacturers have certified to meeting these requirements. In other words, all they do is look at the paperwork that these companies have submitted. And if the paperwork looks like it's in order, go ahead, do your thing. So the CPUC is deferring to the DMV, and who's the DMV deferring to? They're deferring to these companies themselves to certify that they are qualified to do this service. That is unacceptable. That is outrageous. So this is not a situation that should be tolerated. The public needs to cry out against this, and that is what we are doing here today. So I'll just leave you with my final words, which is put the brakes on Waymo and Cruise. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And one of the things we're also raising today is, where are the supervisors in San Francisco? Where's the mayor in San Francisco? Complete silence. Complete silence. Not a word, not a whisper from our politicians in San Francisco. Do they support robo-taxis? Is that their position? And they don't want to talk about it because they're getting money from these companies? Is that really what's happening? So we're urging our political representatives to speak out and demand that these cars be shut down, they be impounded, and they be taken off the streets of San Francisco immediately. That's what they should be saying. And it raises the question of why we don't have a working class political party in San Francisco that's going to stand up for working people. Instead, we have basically politicians who take money from these same corporations. That's who they're listening to. They're listening to Google and GM. They're listening to these companies who want to profit by putting these cars on the streets and driving down, destroying the taxi industry. No discussion at the CPUC on Monday about the social cost of the introduction of this technology, AI technology. How many millions of workers are going to be affected? The writers are on strike right now. The actors and actresses are on strike right now around the issue of AI. Why aren't the people of California and this commission protecting our social rights, our living rights? That's a question that we have to ask. This is a working class issue for the people of California, the people of this country, and yet not a peep from these people. Our view is this commission today is wired. Why is it wired? Because it's appointed by Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom has taken tens of millions of dollars from these tech companies. He's not legitimate. He's not representing the people of California. And I would also say that if they pass this and allow hundreds and thousands of remote cars, you're going to have an explosion in San Francisco. People right now are angry. They're fed up with these vehicles coming here. They're stopping. They're stalling. Basically, they're out of control. So if they pass this thing, they're saying to the people of San Francisco, we don't give a damn whether or not we wreck your economy, whether we allow these cars, robo-taxis on. We're going to go ahead with it when they're right there. And we have to stop it. We have to call a halt to it. So our next speaker is Edward Escobar. He's with the Alliance of Independent Workers.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Edward Escobar. I'm the founder of the Alliance for Independent Workers, the hashtag Drivers Unite movement. What is Drivers Unite? It's a call to action. Drivers are not united nationally or internationally, but the drivers are the guinea pigs for the tech titans of Silicon Valley. What does that mean? Well, you saw what happened when they ushered in Uber and Lyft. Nobody listened to the serious disruption that was going to happen. And oh boy, did it happen. Not just here. It spread virally across the country and around the world. The new Uber business model has been replicated, duplicated, and basically damaging all of society. Because it is all about short-term, immediate gratification, all about putting profits before people. Is that acceptable, people? No, it's not. So we're here to say to the CPUC, no to robo-taxis, no to robo-taxis, no to robo-taxis. They are not listening to the people. We were here Monday prior to the last hearing. The public comment section was 1 minute. We only had 1 minute per person. You know what 1 minute is? It's introducing yourself and then signing off. That is not a real public comment. The only comment that was public that was made was us here before the prior hearing on Monday. Is that acceptable, people? No! This is going to affect not just drivers. This is a tipping off point for the new age of AI. This is ushering in AI, automation, self-driving tech, digital currency, everything that they could turn a switch and shut you off as far as your existence. They could control your movements. You've heard of Big Brother, right? This is the start of all that. That's not conspiracy theory. That is factual and actual. Look at the disruption that's happening just from Uber and Lyft. Just from them. Everyone wants to be like them. This is the Hollywood of tech. Why? Because people come here on their billion-dollar dreams of having an app. It was so much easier before. Now people are calling them out and saying, is it worthy? Is it going to help society? Does it have purpose, real purpose for humanity? There's a higher bar. But what's happening here is a replication. This is all over again, doing the same damn thing as last time with Uber. Nobody was listening. Nobody was listening because they sell the dream, the American dream, about utopic visions of a new tomorrow, a brighter future. Oh my God, really? Look at the suffering over here. Realize, people, there is no tomorrow if we don't do something today. We are the guardians of the future. We are the guardians and the custodians of the future generations. Whether you have children or not, I have drivers that say, oh, you know what? That's not going to happen in my lifetime. I'm not going to worry about it now. My response is, do you plan on dying tomorrow? Because it's already happening, people. This is happening now, and they're doing it in our names, in the falsehood of saying safety. That's how they sell the bill of goods, saying safety, safety, safety. I collaborate with national independent truckers as well. We're sounding the wake-up alarm, telling people, wake up. They think they have all the time in the world. No, they don't. These independent truckers, some of them actually live in their vehicles. They have sleeper carriers. These folks, a lot of them are NRA card-carrying former veterans. Okay, what does that mean? It means you don't want to piss them off because they'll rise up. We want to have a counterpoint here with the voice of the people against this technological revolution. This is a whole other revolution again, like the robber barons of the Industrial Revolution age. It's happening again. It's happening again. You have Uber that has a partnership with Waymo. They're providing the clientele. Waymo's providing the hardware, the vehicles. Well, what about the liability when they hit somebody? Who's going to be able to chase these vehicles down? Because apparently there's no laws on the books about stopping them from moving violations. What is that, people? Seriously. Privilege. Are they above the law? No, they are not above the law. So we need to rein this corporate bad behavior in. This is not acceptable, people. This is happening time and time again. They are riding roughshod over the will of the people. And we need to have many more people coming out and realizing and supporting what we're doing here, because this is not just about drivers. It's not just about drivers. It's not just about drivers. We are here sounding the alarm for the rest of the world, because what starts here ends up going virally to the rest of the world. And we need to stand together, unite, and say, "Si se puede," yes, we can.
One of the issues that has not been addressed by the CPUC and by Gavin Newsom and by London Breed is the destruction of the taxi industry. They're literally destroying the taxi industry. Drivers who take care of people who need care, seniors, elderly, are going to lose their taxis. They're not going to have transportation. So you talk about discrimination. Oh, here we have some tech people, funded people with their T-shirts. They're talking about progress, safe roads for all. Well, I would ask these people who are across the street looking at them, what about the cars that are stopping in the middle of the street? Is that safe? What about the cars that are stalling out? Is that safe? What about the cars that are blocking emergency exits? Is that safe?
No.
Here are the propagandists. Here are these kids paid for by these tech companies to pass out shirts saying that they're safe when the cars are stalling right in front of the street. So here they are on the payroll of these tech companies, Google and Waymo, with T-shirts to pass out to people. So this is money. This is like Donald Trump hiring people for his initial launch. He hired actors to say that there was support for him. This is the same thing here with Google and Lyft with their T-shirts. So our next speaker is Sue Vaughn. She's a transit activist, and also she's been speaking out to defend public transit, because that is what Gavin Newsom and London Breed are going to do. They're going to destroy public transportation, BART, and the public transportation, and have people in these cars who can afford them. So welcome, Sue Vaughn.
I'm a member of the SFMTA Citizens Advisory Council, but I'm here just speaking on my own. This is the public testimony I'm going to give inside. So good morning, commissioners. My name is Sue Vaughn. I'd like to point out that Waymo, Cruise, and/or Google are sponsors of a number of the organizations that have submitted letters of support for this proposal to unleash unlimited numbers of robo-taxis on San Francisco streets. These include the Richmond Neighborhood Center, and I live in the Richmond district. Greenbelt Alliance, Independent Living Resources, and the Curry Senior Center. Now, that's probably incomplete. I just didn't have time to do more research last night. I had to go to bed. Additionally, when is that EIR going to happen? This authorization falls under the same authorization for TNCs, Ubers, and Lyfts. These vehicles have been congesting traffic and exacerbating pollution and especially global warming for a decade now, and still no EIR. Now you're considering authorization for unlimited numbers of robo-taxis that will compete for passengers with taxis and our best tool for fighting climate change, Muni, and other forms of mass transit. And these cars, these robo-taxis, are also going to put regular cab drivers out of work. These autonomous vehicles will have their own environmental impacts, and yet the CPUC argues environmental impacts caused by these initial deployment measures are far too speculative to undertake environmental review. Really? Are you going to wait until CEO Carl Vogt floods San Francisco with thousands of robo-taxis if and when you authorize an EIR? Really? I also want to call on Governor Newsom and Mayor Breed and all the members of the Board of Supervisors to speak up. You're our elected leaders. Speak up. Say something about what these corporations want to do to the streets of San Francisco. Thank you.
We're raising the issue. Why the silence by San Francisco politicians? Why is London Breed and every member of the Board of Supervisors silent about these robo-taxis and what should be done about them? Do they approve the CPUC approving them to be on the streets of San Francisco? Why haven't they taken a stand? Why aren't they fighting these tech companies? This is another example of the corporate takeover, capture of our government. These tech companies have taken over the city of San Francisco, they've taken over the state of California, and they are not responding to what is actually happening on the streets of San Francisco, which these cars are a threat to health and safety. One right there. They're stalling, they're stopping. Who's in control? Now, if you get a ticket, I saw in the paper they gave a $104 ticket to one of the taxis. Well, you know something? If I get a $104 ticket and I get one the next week and the following week, they'll arrest me. They'll take my license away. What do they do with these robo-taxis? They do nothing. So you have a double standard for the drivers of California about how they're treated and how these tech companies are treated. So our next speaker is Charles Minster. He's a retired member of the Laborers Union. Welcome, Charles.
I'm a retired trade unionist, worked trade unions all my life, and an activist all my life. I'm also a supporter of the International Communist League, which advocates for a workers' government and a socialist society. And as a sister said here on Monday, we need that Workers' Party now to organize the disaffected and the disadvantaged and the oppressed in this society to lead a revolution that will topple this decaying and decrepit capitalist system. The capitalist system is the enemy, brothers and sisters, and that needs to be destroyed and replaced by a government run by the workers who produce the wealth. And they shall, in the new society, distribute the wealth, not for greed, but for need. Now, the CPUC, which of course approved Uber and Lyft, and then it spread around the world. Another thing the CPUC didn't do was they looked the other way when PG&E laid off hundreds of tree maintenance workers in Northern California and the resultant fires, which killed dozens and dozens of people. Simple thing. You maintain these areas. I worked in that kind of field myself. You maintain these areas, you clear the brush and the trees from high wires, and you stop the fires that have resulted from heavy storms. But they looked the other way on that. But they didn't look the other way for Uber and Lyft, and they're not going to look the other way today because the money is on the table. And that's what controls this society. You got big money, you control the society. That's the bottom line. And that's all these companies care about, profits. Eliminating the human being means nothing to them. It means less problems because us humans, we know we have to eat, we get sick, we go on strike every once in a while. They don't like that. You know, DeSantis, your Republican right-winger, he's predefying slavery now. There's sections of this ruling class that would like to see slavery reintroduced. And if you think that's far-fetched, start seeing some of his statements recently. This is how sick it is because this system is dying. And it's got to be replaced. And the only possible way it will be replaced in a positive way will be the people who produce the wealth control that wealth. And that's the overwhelming majority of this society, and that's the workers. Thank you.
Tina Martin is our next speaker.
We really do not need more cars on our street. For democracy, for equity, for the climate chaos, we really do need to support public transportation. There have been 3 articles in the San Francisco Chronicle in the past 4 or 5 days talking about some of the problems of Waymo and Cruise and the other corporate tech supported things. I'm fascinated by these things, but I don't think we need more cars on our streets. And the people who've spoken before have explained some of the reasons. But please check into the San Francisco Chronicle. It's a very mainstream newspaper, but even they are admitting some of the problems, including the interference with first responders. That's one of the things they mentioned in today's paper. And please take a look at this saying, which was by a very pro-transit mayor in Bogota. He said, an advanced city is not one where even the poor use cars, and I would add, not to mention Uber, Lyft, Waymo, and Cruise, but rather one where even the rich use public transportation. Thank you.
The labor movement, the TW Transit Workers Union did speak, but what we want to say is the San Francisco Labor Council and the trade union should be out here. Where is the San Francisco Labor Council here at this hearing? Why haven't they spoken out? Why haven't they mobilized our 100,000 members? There are over 100,000 members in the San Francisco Labor Council. Where are they today? Why is the San Francisco Labor Council quiet about robo taxis? That's what we want to know. And the reason is because they support Gavin Newsom and they support the Democratic Party. That's why they're not here. Because fighting the robo-taxes is fighting the Democratic Party. That's why there's complete silence by the supervisors, complete silence by the mayor. Where are the San Francisco supervisors calling for the impoundment of these cars? They're not around. So what you're going to have here, in all likelihood, is that this corporate-controlled commission, these tech-controlled commission, is going to approve the introduction of these taxis, robo-taxis, 24 hours a day. And as a result of that, you're going to have more accidents, you're going to have more problems for the people of San Francisco, and you may even have a catastrophe, as the fire chief has warned. The fire chief of San Francisco has warned that if these continue to be put out, there will be a catastrophe in San Francisco. Because they are blocking emergency vehicles. People will die. People will be burned to death. People will die because they can't be reached because of the stalling out of these robo-taxis. But these commissioners don't give a damn about people possibly dying. That's why they're taking the figures from these companies. They're not having an independent assessment of what these vehicles are doing. They're not looking at the accidents that these vehicles have. When these vehicles are involved in an accident, is the state of California saying you have to be held accountable? Hell no. They're saying that they're not accountable. And I say that's an outrage. We say that's an outrage. We're saying shut the robos down. Now, I, in my organization, believe you can't stop technology. Technology, the wheel, the development of the Industrial Revolution, you can't stop the technology. That's a reality that people face in San Francisco and the world. The question is, who should benefit from technology? Who should benefit from AI? Should it be the tech billionaires or should it be working people in the public? And the only way that that's going to happen is when working people are in control of the technology. We don't trust the billionaires, the tech billionaires like Elon Musk, who kept his factory open in the middle of a pandemic, and he was contaminating the people at that factory, the workers at the factory, with COVID. And he said, arrest me, I'm going to violate a shelter-in-place law. This is what Elon Musk said to Gavin Newsom and the people of California. To hell with the laws, to hell with the Department of Health of Alameda County. I'm going to continue to operate my factory even though small businesses were shut down. And what did Gavin do? Gavin Newsom gave him a free pass. Gavin Newsom said Elon Musk can operate a factory, his factory at Fremont and Tesla, even though people are being harmed. People are getting COVID. So it tells you where the power is. The power are not with the people. The power is with these tech billionaires who are violating the law, who are above the law. And we know that in San Francisco and in California, drivers have to take a test. Why aren't these vehicles getting tests? Why are they relying on the information of the tech companies on whether or not they're safe? Why? We have to ask that of this commission. Who do they take their orders from? Is it the tech companies or is it the people of California? We have to say that the CPUC is thoroughly corrupt. As the speaker said before, Michael Peavy, who was the past chair of the California Public Utility Commission, appointed by, I believe, Jerry Brown, was actually on the take from PG&E. He was getting foundation money from PG&E while he was chair of the California Public Utility Commission. What happened? Nothing happened. He resigned. He wasn't prosecuted. If you or I steal money or take money from a company illegally, we'd be prosecuted. These people who are on the commission have conflicts of interest. They're not being held accountable. They're not being held accountable, and that's wrong. That's what people in the city and the state have to change. We need commissions. We need city supervisors to be held accountable and to put their foot down. The reality is that these cars could be impounded. Every day they could be impounded because they're violating the vehicle code. Why are they not being impounded? Why is Mayor London Breed and the police department not impounding these cars? They're not above the law. They don't have a right to violate the law, but they're doing it in San Francisco today. And here you have the Safe Roads for All. Here's our crowd over here, Safe Roads for All, funded by these tech billionaires, funded by Google. Here they are, being paid for by these tech companies. So they're mobilizing their people to say it's safe, and they know it's a lie. They know these cars are stalling out. They know these cars are creating emergency situations, but here they are mobilizing. They've been paid by these tech companies to lobby. They're here to lobby to say that the cars are safe. What a lie. What a fraud. What a charade that these people are out here saying the cars are safe when they see them stalling out in the street. One of the things about AI, and this is about AI, let's be clear, they're testing their AI at these Robo cars on the people of San Francisco. The people of San Francisco are the guinea pigs for the testing of AI. That's what they're doing here. And the writers, I'll let this pass.
Just for your information, there have been 177 instances of their having to retrieve the vehicle when it's stopped.
Okay, they're having 177 instances where they've had to retrieve the vehicle when they stop in the middle of the road. Is this safe? Is this safe? Hell no. But these people here, paid for by Google, paid for by GM, are saying it's all safe. So they mobilize their members. But it's not going to stop because the people of San Francisco, even if the CPUC passes this, there's a growing rage and anger among the people of San Francisco about these remote cars. And we're saying that this is going to explode because people have had enough. It's bad now. It's going to get much worse. Of course, the CPUC really doesn't care how bad it gets in San Francisco because they don't live in San Francisco and they're not really suffering. Now, also we have an artist with us today who's unveiling a mural about the effect of AI, because Andy Knight, who's here today, is actually covered Tesla and the use of auto drive in Tesla, because in Tesla they were using testing auto drive on the people of California. There have been accidents, drivers, passengers and pedestrians have been killed because of the introduction of auto drive. This is a danger to the people of California, and actually they should be prosecuted. Elon Musk should be prosecuted for testing his technology illegally on the people of California. We're saying it's wrong and it's killing people. Elon Musk is a murderer. He's a murderer because he's testing his autopilot on the people of California. They're dying, they continue to die, people get injured and killed, and nothing happens. Why? Because Elon Musk is a friend with Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom supports Elon Musk. That's who Elon Musk controls. He controls Gavin Newsom, and Gavin Newsom right here today is telling his commissioners, go with GM, go with Google. That's what Gavin Newsom is saying. Brad Weidemeyer is a worker here in San Francisco. He's a supporter of the Labor Party, and he was a member of SEIU.
Our public officials have spoken. The California Public Utilities Commission needs to listen to Fire Chief Nicholson. Listen to the fire chief. Listen to the fire chief. Listen to the fire chief. And our San Francisco Metropolitan Transportation Agency, there are people who are risking their jobs to speak about the truth about the autonomous vehicles. So we need to listen to our experts in our transportation department and say no at this time to AVs in San Francisco until they have a record. And what about their record? These paid supporters are not willing to acknowledge that we don't know We don't have the records. Waymo and Cruise will not release their own internal information about the safety record. It's not even available to the California PUC to even decide on. So we need to ask, as a charter city, that this be stopped. We need to ask the supervisors and the mayor to block this, because we ultimately have control over our streets and our safety. Listen to the fire chief. Listen to the fire chief. There have been 55 instances of the autonomous vehicles interrupting emergency response. People will end up dying if this happens in a situation where it books the safety workers. 72 times at least, people have had to be rescued from these vehicles, stopped in the middle of traffic. So you cannot say that they are safer. You have no basis, not even from Waymo and Cruise. They have not released their internal documents to the public. And that's probably expected because they are not safe. So listen to our local experts, the fire chief, the SFMTA people risking their jobs to speak out and speak the truth about the lack of safety in these autonomous vehicles. They're not ready for prime time, as Fire Chief Nicholson has said. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shia French from Senior and Disability Action, and we want the CPUC to vote no on the draft resolutions before them. Getting around San Francisco is not easy for disabled people and seniors. Lyft and Uber drivers frequently leave service dog handlers at the side of the road. Elevators on public transit are often broken or hard to find. Public transit stations are hard to navigate if you have cognitive disabilities or developmental disabilities. You have to plan out your paratransit the day before. Who knows when they're going to want to leave their doctor's appointment or a fun time with friends. AVs have made promises to the disability community that they will make it all easier. They will be more accessible. They will be safer. But we at Senior and Disability Action are skeptical. We're skeptical because there is yet to be an AV on the road that is wheelchair accessible. We can't leave parts of our community behind. We're skeptical because they drop people off in the middle of the street and not at the curb. That's not safe for anyone. They are held to a standard that they won't cause more injuries or deaths than human-driven cars, but if they cause even one injury or death, that is too many. We're concerned for our community members and people in the broader community who work in public transit and drive taxis, who have jobs that pay for bills, who may stand to lose them. We believe that the way forward is for more regulation, not less. Regulation is where the public gets a say. If we're going to have AVs on our streets, they need to be more accessible, safer, more affordable than what we have right now. They need to be rolled out in a way that complements public transit but doesn't supplant it. And we believe the only way that can happen is through more regulation, not less. We need the CPUC to vote no on today's draft resolutions.
Hey everyone, I'm a local artist, longtime art instructor from Hayward. I went to Art Institute here in San Francisco. Anybody remember the Art Institute? There are no more. It's a similar parallel, I think, what's happening with these AI taxis. And I love this city. It's the most beautiful city. This is a wonderful city. I love the fact that we can speak as we do, and we the people, right? And if you guys could can you bring the painting down close, or yeah, a little bit closer. So I've been working on this painting the last 3 months, and I recently just added Gavin Newsom, and I want to say it with love and respect, Gavin, that Why aren't you listening to people of San Francisco? Why, as the speaker said before, why aren't you listening to the fire chief of San Francisco? Why, Gavin? That's what I'm questioning in the painting. And I kind of have, I think, alluding to the answer to that by the money in their hands here. There's a guy named John Reynolds that I've depicted here that I understand that he was a lawyer for Waymo for 3 years, and he's on this board that's going to decide today. He's actually on the board that's going to decide today to release 200 more of these AI taxis. And so they have asked him to recuse himself from voting. Recuse, but he's voting today, is that correct? And is he walking up here today at 11:30? Are they arriving, or are they in there already? They're in there already? They're in the back door? Because I'd like to ask him, well, come up and tell us why you think you're a fair judge in this. And I have City Hall there in the back. In the foreground, I have the San Francisco cab drivers. That guy over there represents Lyft drivers and Waymo, and the Uber drivers. Board that's going to decide today. He's actually on the board that's going to decide today to release 200 more of these AI taxis. And so they have asked him to recuse himself from voting. Recuse, but he's voting today. I'd like to ask him, well, come up and tell us why you think you're a fair judge in this. And I have City Hall there in the back. In the foreground, I have the San Francisco cab drivers. That guy over there represents Lyft drivers and Waymo, and the Uber drivers. The police, as you know, are against it. They're having their problems, but they're instructed not to impound these vehicles. Me and you would be impounded, correct? Yeah. If we just leave our car in the middle of the street, we'd be paying the bail on our car.